Everybody, and welcome to our after church tea time on the sermon that was provided for us by Lorenzo and Alexandra on the topic of honor what you are going through and heal. So before we start and get into our discussion, I'd just like to ask everybody to introduce themselves, please, and then we'll carry on from there. So I'm Granville Campbell.
Hello, I'm Paco.
Hi, I'm Kanisha.
Hello, I'm Maite. And this is Alejo, my twin flame.
Nice to meet you.
Cool, thank you everybody. So I think today's topic was quite fun and probably a lot of the basis of our journey. And I think we kind of sometimes just forget that it's okay to be where you're at. And it's okay to honor what you're going through. And we tend to want to have something different. We tend to want to have something quickly improve. We tend to want to not have the experience that we're having. And so I think it was quite fitting to just go through the sermon today with Alexandra and Lorenzo. And also just even from when you started the card reading, Kanisha, in terms of the cards, because like you can't make that stuff up, right? So it flowed very perfectly.
Yeah, to be honest with you, so I was supposed to do the card reading for next week and I got asked today to do it. And so I was like, yeah, no problem. I watched a sermon that was not the sermon that was given today. And so when I asked God, can you give me the cards that I need for the sermon that I thought I was watching? He gave me the perfect cards. So then when the sermon came on and it was Alex and Lau, I was like, oh gosh. And then I had to surrender. I was like, you know what, whatever message came out was a message that God needed everyone to hear. And I just completely surrendered to it. And then the sermon came up and I was like, it completely synced. It was perfect. So it was really having to trust that God is always going to work through you perfectly. And you're just kind of the vessel. You just have to surrender to what comes through. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it was very cool. I was watching I was like listening to your card reading, and it was like it was just perfect. And then when I heard the sermon, it was like, okay, this was all put together really well. But again,
my God,
it just works perfectly every single time. But you kind of have to honor where you're at in order for it to work perfectly every single time.
Absolutely. And that's just one of those moments too, where in my own personal journey, it's like, oh, I really can trust God when I think that something is going to happen one way or it's going a certain direction and then it unfolds completely in a different way. It's always perfect and it'll always align the way that it needs to. So just that situation, I'm just like, wow, like I can always, like I said, 100%, 1,000% trust God.
Absolutely, yes.
I really resonate with that because before the Sunday service started, my twin flame and I, we got triggered and we have to heal through a block. And now we decided to respect that this happens. Even we knew that now this is after church tea time and that we participate, but we decided to go with the flow of the healing and honor where we are at. And so it's just worked out that Deb is still working through it and I feel better and I'm joining now the after church tea time. And like Kanisha shared, it's always perfect how God guides it. And it's always really healing to respect where I am right now in this moment and not pressuring myself to be somewhere I desire myself. I desire my twin flame here right now and talking with you about this wonderful Sunday service, but it's where we are at right now, and it's perfect to accept it and respect it, and it feels this way. It feels very loving. Even she's not here now because she's still working through it and healing, because we are honor where we are right now.
Yeah,
And I love
that too.
Yes, please.
Okay.
You're sounding a bit like an alien right now. Your connection is not stable.
Just wanted to add that I felt that it was just like the healing process that you go through. And it's okay when.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, maybe when you turn off your picture, then the connection gets better.
Okay. There. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay, it's good. Okay, so I just wanted to say that I think the order of the cards were like perfect too. Like all the healing process, like sometimes we start worrying a lot and it's like you're just stuck there, but it's when you just trust, everything is just like unfolds. Like you can see the block better, you can heal it, and like the growth that comes after like healing, it's just like so beautiful to share that. Like it's when I think I go back to Jeff and Shalea's teaching when they say like it's only like the cycle of healing, it's complete when you share it, and that's like about the growth. And so I felt that it was really beautiful how like the cards were going.
Yeah, it was perfect. And you know, like as you say, you know, it's just that it's that honoring where you are, like truly honoring where you are. So like sometimes it feels really odd, and so it takes some time sometimes to just even understand what the actual upset is. You're like, sometimes we think it's one thing and it may not quite be that thing. And sometimes you're like, spot on, this is it. I know what is happening here. This is the upset. And sometimes you heal that thing that you think is actually spot on and you find the deeper piece that it was leading you to. And when you heal that, like I often feel when I've done some healing, I actually have physical relaxation in my body. Like I feel parts of my body just settle more, my energy settles more. I'm able to kind of just allow the world around me to shift with me. It's that energy that Alexandra and Laurentia were talking about of control and releasing that control. And I find like the control is actually what makes you feel uncomfortable. And it never actually works. You think something's going to be a certain way because you're showing up in a certain way. And the minute you show up in that way, like for lack of a better expression, it goes to hell in a handbasket. And then you kind of like you need to actually take a step back and you need to heal. And you're like, oh, that's what I was doing. And it, you know, it's perfect that in their process of creating their sermon, that they were given the perfect example to share. Because I also find when I'm trying to create a sermon, I'm like, okay, so I need to go here, I need to go there with the topic, or I need to go there. And often, sometimes something comes out of my mouth and I'm like, well, I actually didn't mean to say that, but okay, let's go with it. And it just happens in that way, very comfortably and very peacefully. And I agree with Adam and Brianne when they say that, you know, it feels like it's a shift in how we're creating sermons, that we just show up. It feels like we show up as ourselves and we share the message that we need to share, and somebody will get their piece. Everybody always gets a piece. And so, you know, it's just allowing for it to unfold naturally, even though you have to be a little bit prepared, because I can tell you, talking for 30 minutes on a sermon, you do need a little bit of preparation. So I'm very much on Alexandra's page of like, there has to be some structure, otherwise I'm not gonna know where I'm going. And you know, and that's like in everything. And I want to ask you guys how you feel about having structure versus feeling like you're controlling something. And is it the same energy?
Absolutely. Like, I love that you brought that up, because having structure over control, there's two different things. Just like having expectations and having standards. That's something I'm working through this week, is really getting clear on words and vocabulary, because we have a perception or an idea of what we think a word is. And Jeff talks about this a lot, is like, how do you speak to yourself, and what are the words that you're using? And so for me, I realize that when there's rules and there's structure, it's really allowing me to have to be guided in the right direction. When there's control, I am trying to guide myself where I think I'm supposed to go, over where God is trying to guide me. And there's a reason why there's structure. There's a reason why there's rules. And really getting clear on that. It's because someone before me has already done it and has already learned from the experience. And so they're really trying to help. What's really happening is, I find when I'm trying to control, it's like I'm really trying to recreate the wheel. And that one leaks a lot of energy, because it's not necessary. It's already taken care of. It's already been paved. The way has already been paved. And so really understanding that, like, structure is a really beautiful thing. And I find myself that I am creating more structure in my life, because I feel like I have much more peace in my life because there's structure. There's not as much chaos. And that's actually what I truly desire. And so that when there's control and I feel into it, I'm like, there's a lot of control, there's a lot of chaos happening because I'm controlling. So I do see now the massive difference between structure and control. And you made a comment about working through a lot of what Lau and Alex were working through. Like, they were kind of at the core, they both wanted the same thing, but it was showing up a little differently. And what I'm realizing is having to come back to the basics is one of the things that is one of the keys that keep coming up, is coming back to the basics. And you mentioned that when you have an upset, sometimes you have no idea what the upset is, and sometimes you go straight to the upset. And I'm finding that it doesn't matter how big or small the upset is. When I write it down, when I journal it down, I'm absolutely able to work through it a little bit deeper. Like, I don't have to keep going into these layers, because just writing out the process, it's like I get into the flow of that fourth step, and then all of a sudden it's just like all these things are coming out, and God's just working through me and putting all what I need to know on this piece of paper. And so I really highly encourage everyone and invite everyone to write down the mirror exercise. Get really mastered at writing it down and getting clear there, so that we don't have to backtrack or like, oh, I totally missed that part of the mirror exercise. Like, it's really, really loving yourself in that space and giving yourself that time and building that structure of mastering the mirror exercise by writing it down, because it can be an easy tool, but depending on the upset, it really requires you to allow yourself to go deeper with it and allow yourself to really get clear on your true feelings, so that you can honor and respect yourself and move through it as quickly as possible.
I experienced that too. That's perfect with structure, like Kanisha explained. And like Granville said for her, feeling this grounding after healing, and being in the flow and relaxing, and realizing that this structure and being in the flow is complementary. Like, you are complementary with your twin flame. Like, it's so beautiful how Laurencio and Alexandro explains how complementary are, and in working through their blogs, how more clarity they get, how perfect they are for each other. Also in their creative expression in making the sermon. And I like that Kanisha explained really clear what's the difference is between the structure and control. I experience having structure feels so loving myself. It feels so good doing it with God. Everything in my household even feels juicy doing it with God, because I love the structure and having these rules for myself. and not doing it out of control. When I'm doing it out of control, I feel heavy and I don't like it. And I'm just growing into it and also respecting that and honoring that where I am in such little things. We kind of household that I'm learning having a divine structure and not doing it out of control, and I have to grow into it. And sometimes it looks chaotic and not the way I would like to have it, but it's because I'm growing here. This is honoring where I'm at. And I also love this writing down the mirror exercise, all 4 steps. I always write down step 3 too, even it's always the same sentence, but this sentence helps me coming into my feeling. And that's so amazing what Jeff and Shaleia gave us with this. It seems so easy, and because it's so easy, it's so divine. And in writing it down, it goes so deep. And at the beginning, I wrote every upside down, like they say, repeating it, repeating, loving ourselves always, and then we get mastered in. And this structure feels also so so peaceful. You get with every written down mirror exercise peaceful, and you get more safety in that it works, and that you, like Grenville, that you feel this grounding in your whole body, that you ground more with your environment, that this environment aligns with you, and then you can have this divine structure around you, and you can expand it when you appreciate what great work you did.
Yes, I like it how Kanisha explained it. I agree with Paco and with Granville, like explained perfectly what's the difference between controlling and having a structure. And I want to add that when you are controlling, it's like the bad feeling keeps coming up, and it's like you cannot move forward. So, but when you just have the structure, it's like the opposite, because you start feeling relieved, and that guides you like perfectly, even though there I am. You can have an upset, but it's okay. It's like you're guided to work through that. And yeah, I also want to mention that there was a part where Alex mentioned that you whether want to be right or do you want to love. And that's something that I've been moving through too. And like my coach helped me because I was having like a big upset, and I was like holding on to resentment, and I didn't know that. But she told me like, the point here is like, do you want to be right or do you want to heal? And then like I have been like moving through that, and that phrase like really touched my heart. And when Alex mentioned that, I was like, yeah, it's like I don't want to be right. I just want to heal and love and move forward. So that's something else that I think relates to what we're talking about. So that's really beautiful too.
Yeah, I love that. I love that statement of, do you want to be right, or do you want to love, or do you want to heal? Because I think at the end of the day, we want to heal, but we also like to be right. But sometimes being right is just serving and fueling an ego, because of the fact that it's me, I must be right. So you're just fueling something that's not actually serving you. So I love that you brought that up, because I think if we use that in just our daily life, it's going to be much easier to understand the value that we're getting from the mirror exercise. Because we want to heal. I choose to heal. And sometimes it's silly little things. Like I will go outside and I will find somebody's cat in my yard. I'm like, I'm upset that that cat's in my yard, you know? And it's even the little things. And it's such a relief, because immediately the cat no longer bothers me. And in all honesty, I was paying attention to something that wasn't really purposeful. Like I was leaking energy in a space that wasn't necessary for my energy to actually be going to. It wasn't necessary for my awareness to even be on that.
I think what's really happening is that you're just so peaceful that you're bringing all the cats to the yard is what's happening.
Kanisha, my milkshake
Yes.
doesn't bring all the cats to the yard.
No, your peace does. Yeah, absolutely. I love what you said there. And what comes back to me, I think Michaela posted this at one point, and it's from a class, and I wish I knew what class it was, but they talk about how, like, if you're still upset with your twin flame about whatever they're showing you and you're mad at them or angry at them and you want to control, then you're missing the whole purpose of your union. And that was something that I had to really come to, is there's parts of me that's like, I'm right here. And when I really sat with it, I was like, who cares if I'm right? I just want to love here. Exactly what Mati said. There was just this feeling of like, I just want to bring love and peace and healing to this space. Like, I don't give a fuck who's right. I just want love here. And I want more God here. And that's the purpose of Ascension, is ascending to God, and having to really let go of that control, because, like I said in the reading, the truth is only God has control. And God has control whether or not you and your twin flame are communicating. God has control over whatever the next upset is in your union. And it's like, either you can honor that part of yourself, honor the God within your twin flame, and move through it, or you can have that chaos. And that is really what the mirror exercise does, is it brings structure to your union. It brings ultimately the peace that you're seeking for within yourself. And so to really ground that into your life, to ground in that, okay, we're having an upset here. Let's move through it. Let's see what God is showing us here. What is the spiritual lesson here over this stuff is happening and I'm mad. And for me, it used to be, what did I do wrong? What did I do to create this to happen? Instead of recognizing, no, this is just part of the journey. And this is just part of your growth. This is part of you being able to learn to trust God and yourself in the process, and that your inner work is working. And then you're just going to grow from here. And that's one of the things that I love about this community too, is that it's a safe place to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. You're just going to learn and grow, and God is going to love you through whoever, whether it's your coach or it's Jeff and Shaleia or another community member. But you can't have that without that structure. And there's a deep level of structure in this community, and it's always growing. It's always expanding. But it gives us a safe place to work through what we need to work through, and just ground and bring more love into that space.
That's perfect. And I feel this structure here in this community Jeff and Shaleia built for us is the most safe, I feel the most safe place for healing all this. And coming together with your twin flame here is the most safe place, because you know you can be you know that you get help from your friends and from your co-workers, and in what apartment you are working, or from Jeff and Shaleia, from our gurus, and that is always unconditional love is speaking to you. And you can always, when you don't get clear what is happening here, you can reach out to someone, because we have this divine structure, and everybody's helping you to get clear in your heart because of this divine structure. And this is so relieving, to not to want to be right. I feel it's relieving when I say to myself, I feel I'm right, but then I say to myself, but I don't want to be right. I just want the truth. I want the truth, and I want to heal. And I always feel really relieved when I just, even I feel really upset, or I feel really angry, or I feel really hurt. I just choose to always come to the truth of it. And with this divine structure here, it feels very safe. And the deeper I go and open up my heart to receive it, it feels safer and safer.
Yes, I feel that what we're talking about right now, it's just like, it's always safe to be honest with yourself. And like Kanisha was saying, like, sometimes we can blame ourselves, like, why is this happening to me? But it's okay, like no judgment, like release judgment and just being honest. Okay, it's okay, I'm learning here. I'm in this step in my journey, like I have my perfect journey and I'm just moving through that. And like I feel it goes back like to the basics, like to the keys of like harmonious union, and how Alex and Lorenzo were saying that, like honesty is one of them. And also what I feel right now, it's I love how they said like, but what is honoring? Like we use that word like so frequently, but when we see that honoring means respecting, it's like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. And like that's another of the keys of harmonious union. And it's perfect when I just make that shift in my consciousness right now, like by watching the sermon. I feel like, oh, okay, so I can respect myself, and I really choose that for myself, and I choose that for my journey. And I just feel like a big relief in my heart, like I can just accept myself for who I am, and know that the more that I respect my, even my upsets, like I respect that what, like my feelings in truth, like not the upset, but the feeling that brings, okay, I that brings that for me, I can heal it, and then like my journey seems and looks so much beautiful, because I see like how far that I've come, like how maybe sometimes it's so challenging, and but I chose to stay there, to really feel my feelings, to write down the mirror exercise, and not move on until I feel complete. And that's something that I also use like in my daily practice, like um, am I complete here? Like I resonate with Paco. I also write down it like the step 3, even though it's like it's always the same. Yeah, but it helps me to like unpack it and see like, yeah, but in what parts like of my life, in which specific moments of my life I am feeling this upset, like this feeling, this emotion. And then like when I write down the 4th step, it's like it's beautiful, because then I read it again, and I say to myself out loud like what I need in this place. And it's a beautiful like just reminder that sometimes I write it down on a post-it, and I put it like on my workplace, so I can read down again. So if I like a similar upset comes up again, I can read that, no, I already chose that, I already gave myself love, patience. And it's like a mantra that I also hold for myself. So yeah, I feel it's safe to just be honest with that, with ourselves, and like really choose to respect us and honor us.
Yeah, I love what you said, because like I think one of the things that we do is we heal something and we expect it to be over. And every time, like you watch quite a few of the TFAS classes, and it's just layers of onions being peeled back. Like every time there's somebody else's onion that's been dealt with, and it's just like a full circle. And it's something that Jason and Chrissy also shared in their sermon last week around when you heal and you have a similar experience, you're not going to experience it in the same way because you've healed something. And so your healing does happen in circular motions because you're always going deeper. And so the one thing that I always find when I'm doing healing, if I don't feel relief, I know it's not complete. And if I have to sit with it for half an hour or an hour just going through the mirror exercise on that one thing, that's what I do. Because I know when I have healed something, I actually feel the relief. I return to that peaceful state that I can take the next step in clearing up whatever else needs to be dealt with. And I think that's what you were speaking to, mate, around just respecting yourself enough to have patience with yourself. to have compassion with yourself. And I think, like just like last week's sermon and this week's sermon just feel like a perfect kind of combination of just going deeper into those foundational things and building your foundation so strongly. And it's okay. It's really okay to till the ground a couple of times so that you can lay a proper foundation. And I think that's one of the things that stands out to me is like, just like you said, my journey in my time. It doesn't have to look like everybody else's, but it also doesn't mean I'm a slack off. Like you take your steps as they are provided to you. And the one thing that always happens for me is just, I think I'm done with something, and then I find another layer of healing. And when I go through that, I realize how much fuller that healing was. But if you're not patient and you don't respect your process, you're not going to take the time to do it in the correct way for you.
Absolutely. I love that you bring that up, that the patience of having to work through it. Because when we think of some of the core upsets like abandonment and unworthiness and things like that, I think some people, especially if they're new to the journey, they're like, well, I healed abandonment. It's like, well, it's going to come up in layers. And Shaleia just showed us this in class on Saturday, where she was healing through a deep abandonment around getting her license. And that really humbled me to watch my gurus move through that, even though they're mastered in this work. And they, I'm sure, have healed through abandonment a million times. It's that chop wood, carry water, come into harmonious union, chop wood, carry water. You're going to continue to go deeper and deeper until you're in perfect union with God. And so it really allows me to take off complete pressure about, have I healed all of this? It's like, no, I healed that one core piece that God asked me to look at right now. That's all he's asked me to do. Just look at this one piece, feel through it, heal through it, and then surrender. And when the next piece is ready, he will give that to me. But it's not up to me to try to heal this huge core thing so I don't have to do it again. That's not how the process works. And really getting clear there, I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated, or they just want to give up, or my twin flame is mirroring this back to me again. I thought they healed this. What am I doing wrong again? That cycle. And it's just like, there is that deep spiritual layer of onions. And it's so funny. I thought about this. I actually wanted to know what an onion looked like. So I took a raw onion and I cut it in half. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many layers here. So many layers. There's some fat layers and there's some really, really thin layers. And I just had to like, okay, God, you got me here. We're just going to do this together. Oh, goodness.
I love this with the onion. I sometimes remember myself, oh, I heal in layers like an onion, and then it feels much easier to work through what is in front of me and to remember, it's better when I surrender and I don't need to know what is going on exactly, because I'm doing it with God and God has me, and I just be present. And like also Alex, as Lorenzo and Alexandra shared in this surrender, and this surrender to the process, like they shared with us how they surrendered in the process of getting clear how they make now the sermon together, and that they get their divine that they get clear about how they do it and the structure, the divine structure, and even just channeling, that this also has space. And like they honored it completely. And with honor, we figured out here that this patience is one of the most important things. And for me, patience has nothing to do with time. It's an illusion that patience has something to do with time. That's not true. Patience just means unconditional acceptance of the now, of the present, and has nothing to do with time. I always thought, oh no, patience. I need to have so much time when I'm patient, and I have to have too much time for this one thing, and then this was this controlling. But I learned patience has nothing to do with time, and I'm just accept myself in the moment. I accept my feeling in this moment unconditionally, and I respect how it comes up and how it shows up inside of me, and it makes it much easier to surrender to God and to honor myself completely, also in how it is at the moment.
Yeah, I love what Paco just said right now. Like what patience is, like unconditional acceptance of where you are. I love that, and I really received that in my heart right now. And I feel that that sums up like like the core message of the sermon, like having patience on your, like on what you're going through. Because yeah, it's like what everyone shared right now. Like yeah, we all hearing layers. And I love how Granville said, like circle, like you go in, like healing goes in circles, but it's safe because when it's like you're going through this circle and you encounter another layer of the upset, it's like you really feel different. Like you can just look back and say, oh, but I remember feeling this, but I don't feel like the same way as before. Oh, it's because I've healed. So I can honor myself, I can respect that, and I can love myself even more because it means that I've already healed something and that I am choosing to grow and that I am choosing that love always. So yeah, I just wanted to add that. And yeah, it feels really peaceful and safe to yeah, to be patient with ourselves, with our process, and to know that all of us go through this, so we are safe here in this community. And like sharing, it's always important because that's how we grow and we heal like hand in hand with our brothers and sisters too.
Yeah, and and I like that because it also just ties back to what Lorenzo and Alexandra shared around. It's an opportunity to bring love into that space as well. And like just if you were to ask yourself the question of why wouldn't I want to bring love to that space? It's so easy to just go, actually, I need to heal it so I can bring love to that space. Who doesn't want more love? Like, who doesn't want more love? And so the more you heal it through those layers every single time, you just get closer and closer and closer. And it's one of the things that I have found. It's not how expansive everything is, but more that as you heal it, you actually expand into yourself. Like you feel just fuller as a person. Like all those parts that you were like ignoring, you now actually encounter and you get to love them and you get to bring them home and you just actually feel fuller as a person. And because you feel fuller as a person, you feel more grounded as a person. You feel more stable as a person. And that's how I understand when Jason and Chrissy share a sermon around what is the foundation of your harmonious twin flame union through the work of Jeff and Shaleia. And then Lorenzo and Alexandra go and take us deeper into one of those foundational pieces. And you just understand why Jeff and Shaleia always tell you that it is imperative to build a strong foundation, because you are lifting your vibration to the point that you can maintain a harmonious twin flame union. You are lifting your vibration so that you can maintain harmony in every single area of your life. And you can't do that if things are shakeable and if they are rocky and if it's built on quicksand. So after my mic drop, how do you guys feel?
Yeah, I feel good with, and we see here how God perfectly guides through the community, and that Jason and Chrissy started with the 8 keys for the fundament for your harmonious twin flame union, and they are in harmonious union, and today Lorenzo and Alexandra also in harmonious union guide us deeper, and that's beautiful, and that's how the perfection of God, and when we let go of control, something beautiful like this happens. That's wonderful. Also with these card readings, they are always so perfect, like Kanisha's card reading today. And this is God through us, and that's so beautiful. And with every mirrors exercise we do, are also like Maite shared, we are healing with our brothers and sisters, and when we are sharing, we are supporting each other. And somebody reads that and says, oh my God, that helps me for the whole week, and the whole week I was thinking about that and didn't get clear, and you're sharing your one sentence helps your brother or a sister. And with going deeper in the teaching from Jeff and Shaleia, you build a foundation not built on sand, but built on a really strong ground, where you get an unshakable, permanent harmonious twin flame union. And that's where we are all together healing. That this is not a fast experience for some time, but it's permanent. And we are doing it together, and this feels very good.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to touch on real quick, because it was touched on Saturday's class and also in the sermon, was around conflict. Was like this fear when you have conflict with your twin flame or in any relationship that it's gonna like crumble. But with having such a solid foundation and structure in your union, conflict can actually be a really beautiful thing, because it's just revealing a misalignment, and it allows you to bring healing and love into that space. And so I love how vulnerable they were about sharing the conflict of what they were having there, and really implementing the work so that they can move through it.
Yes, and as Paco was saying, like just remind ourselves that we are healing like for eternity. So it's safe to honor that we can take longer sometimes with some upsets, and with some others like it's faster, but it's okay because we're just healing for eternity, and we are creating this foundation, heading to harmonious twin flame union all together, like for eternity. So when we see it that way, like how can we not honor our healing process? How can we not honor like our experiences? It's silly. So it's silly. So it's just safe to honor that and keep going.
I think that was just the perfect summation. Thank you, Mate. Like, I think for me, that completes our conversation. Like, I feel like we have really gone into our topic today, and I really just appreciate how you wrapped it up for us. So how does everybody else feel?
I feel complete too, and peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we too. We feel peaceful and good.
Awesome. Okay, so with that, I want to say thank you to everybody for this after church tea time, and to everybody that's been following us and chatting to us in comments. There's just been some quite a few agreements, and just you people just being present with us, and that's really awesome. So thank you to everybody for that. Also, I would like to invite you to like and subscribe to our Church of Union YouTube channel, where you will find all our previous after church tea times and any other conversations that have happened in the Unionism Spiritual Discussion Group on Facebook. And we look forward to seeing you in the community and seeing you around for another after church tea time next week. So thank you, everybody, and thank you to our participants today. Bye-bye.